Hey everybody, welcome to this course called Playing the Native American Style Flute. I'm Kalani, your teacher. I am a musician. I play a lot of different instruments, but one of my favorite ones is the Native American Style Flute. I use it in my work as both a music educator and as a music therapist. And I've taught the flute in the United States, in Japan, and in China, and I've also in Singapore and Malaysia, and I've spread the flute to different parts of the world through my various online teachings and through DVDs and live courses. So I'm really glad you guys are here. I hope you're excited about learning about this wonderful instrument. This is a series of 9 lessons in this particular course, and there are more available to you, and I'll talk about those later. You can use any type of Native American style flute for this course. I'm using a flute in the key of A. So if you have a flute in the key of A, we'll match, but if you don't have a flute in the key of A, that's fine. You just use any flute that you have. All right, so all you're going to need for this program is a flute. You could even use another similar instrument, but I recommend a Native American style flute like this one. And we're going to start off by just familiarizing ourselves with the parts of the flute, and then we'll learn about fingering, we'll learn about how to play with various breath techniques, tonguing techniques, and I'll talk about some things like composition so you can make your own flute songs later on. So let's get started. This is the flute. You notice that it's a cylinder of wood, and right away you'll notice that there's a couple big features on the flute. The main one would be this. This is called the bird or fetish or totem, and this has a really special function which I'll talk about in a minute. You'll also notice that there's some leather bits. This is purely ornamental. This is just some beads and leather attached to the flute body to give it an ornamental look. You'll notice that there are several holes on the front, on the top face. These are called the finger holes. And then this opening is called the bore, and this is called the mouthpiece. And of course, this is the end in which we blow. So those are the main features of the flute. I want to show you how the flute makes the sound. And so what happens is the flute is basically a whistle, and that's one of the nice things about it, is it's very accessible. So what happens is the air will travel from the mouthpiece through what's called the slow air chamber, and this in here is a bigger chamber. Then it goes up into an area where it is channeled, you'll see here, along a trough. This is called the flue. And so what happens is there's a separation here. This is not hollow, this is solid. So we have a chamber here, the air goes up, it travels underneath the bird, and it is then shot out along this path under the flue, and it hits what's called the splitting edge of the sound hole. So this is the sound hole right here. And the air shoots out and it splits and it vibrates across this cutting edge, the splitting edge, and that's what makes the sound. And then because we've now created a vibrating column of air inside the flute body, we can make different pitches by placing our fingers and removing our fingers on the sound holes, and that's what makes the different pitches. So there's a little more to it than that, and I'll put a link to a really nice explanation of how the flute makes sound that's created by my friend Clint Goss, my fellow teacher at Flute Harvest. But that's basically the information you need to know. It's a good idea to periodically remove the bird or fetish from the flute to allow these areas to dry out, because if you play the flute a lot, especially if you play it in cooler weather, it can what we call water out, or it gets a lot of condensation in this area. And to help that dry out, you can take the bird off. Okay, so that's a little bit about the parts of the flute. Now I think we're ready to get playing. So in the next lesson, I'll teach you how to hold the flute, and we'll talk about how to create different types of breath that we use to play notes on the flute.